Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of How to Scale an Agency. We are almost at episode 400 of the podcast now, so I'm super excited for all the content we've done so far. And actually, I just realized we haven't done a guest interview in I haven't done one in maybe 2-3 months. So I'm really excited to have Aaron Reed here of SERPire, and he's going to share his cold email secret sauce and how he's booking hundreds and hundreds of meetings for his clients, mainly SEO agencies. So we're going to be talking about lead gen, how he's booking calls, and what's working now in outbound. So yeah, Aaron, welcome to the show.
Hey man, thanks for having me on. Totally buzzing to be here. And just to give you a bit of context around kind of what we're building over at SERPire.ai is that we've found specific playbooks which are just performing really, really well, specifically in SEO, specifically in link building. And we just thought, well, this is like some area that a lot of cold email agencies, a lot of sales teams really struggle to get success with because it's quite crowded, there's a lot of noise. We thought, hey, let's niche down and let's operationalize it and turn this kind of workflow into like our own AI agent, so we can literally take any company with an SEO link building offer and build pipeline for them.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I mean, that was really, before we get into some of the cold email strategies, that was the first thing I wanted to ask you about, right? Because we've had a few podcast episodes around the topic of, niching down. There's a lot of agencies that they pick one market or one offer, and some agencies that are more full service. But yeah, I'm a big believer in niching down, and you've niched down farther than most, right? Because I think even if you're offering one offer, right? You're offering cold email lead gen to one market, SEO agencies. But even if you're just doing cold email for agencies, that's already pretty niche, and that's already, I would say, more specific than most. So what led you to being like, hey, I'm going to go a step further and I'm going to only work with SEO agencies, especially too because it's a fairly difficult one, right?
Yeah, so there's 3 reasons. I read this one book called Built to Sell.
Oh, great book. I love that one, yeah.
I read a book called The Entrepreneurial E-Myth, and then I also just absorbed everything from Alex Hormozi. So what Hormozi taught me, I guess, as an agency, is that it's really hard to hire people, especially clay operators. They cost a lot of money. It's really hard, they're so in demand, and it's like, how do you do this? The answer was, get someone that's maybe here, train them, and bring them to here. Still, it's quite hard because it's like, if you want to go and have a holiday or just have a lie down and sleep for 5 minutes, then you want to be confident that someone in there is really kind of competent. So I was in McDonald's getting a coffee, as I always do every week, and I just looked at how they were making it and thought, well, McDonald's is this massive billion-dollar organization, and the people that lead it and run it, it's just anyone. It's some friends maybe from college, school, that just go in there for part-time jobs. I'm like, they have such great consistency. And I thought, hey, what if I could take this McDonald's approach and actually apply this to my agency and just operationalize it? So it means that every single step, like when you flip the burger, we could SOP this. So if we brought anyone from anywhere, we could train them on these specific SOPs. They don't even need to know everything about clay. They just need to know the SOPs, so they can produce a great result without us having to spend 5, 6, maybe 10 grand a month on loads of people, and it's just not possible to do that. And that's kind of what we did. But the first thing, again, what I learned from Hormozi was product always wins. So we spent a while intentionally not scaling, intentionally turning down specific, potential clients, just because we wanted to really focus on our product. And I think there's loads of amazing agencies out there, but there's also agencies out there that are, kind of churn and burn. And I guess we've all kind of spoken to some potential clients and they've said, hey, we're not sure, we've been burned before and these things happen.
Right.
It is my biggest fear to ever be seen as that. And I just didn't want that to happen. So that's why we spent so much time in the product to make it bulletproof. And we're still getting there, but we're almost there to making it really, really good. We're just making some internal changes right now, but it's exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So the ultimate motivating factor to get really, really niche to only help SEO agencies was just that it would be easier to make a better product and provide a better result.
And also sales. So I'm gonna name drop here. So let's say you've got little Aaron here who's 25, building a cold email agency. You get Michael over at Cold IQ. You get Eric over at Growth Engine X, both phenomenal clay operators and phenomenal. If a potential client comes along and they're saying, hey, we've got 3 options. We've got little Aaron here who's building SERPire. They specialize specifically in their niche we've also got these great agencies here. They're more likely to go for me because I specialise exactly in what they do. So it means I'm going to leave a lot of money on the table, but I'm going to focus specifically on this. So it actually makes it easier to sell because we then just say, well, we're exactly for you and our service is all built for you. So so that was part of the sales process that we have in there, and it makes it a lot easier, especially when we're starting off, to compete with some of the big players in the space in there as well. And also we're learning tons from them all the time, so their content's really, really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, the positioning is great. I mean, like I said, there's we've had a lot of agency owners on the podcast, and a lot are quite niche, but yours is like super, super niche. We've only had maybe a few guys to your level, but I agree. I mean, it just makes everything so much easier if you can really just, like, the more focused you are, the less you have to manage and do and build, right? And like you alluded to earlier, it's easier to hire people because you're just training them on an exact set of processes versus, having to hire people that need to come with their own like talent and expertise and be able to kind of, innovate or improvise in different scenarios, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, there's different ways to look at it. I just think that what we're trying to build now is a sellable asset. I'm not going to do it for my life. I'm 25. I've got a lot of living to do, and running an agency, is super tough. And I'm trying to build up something really valuable. If you build an agency which does everything, then it usually relies on you to be in the business. So what we're trying to build is this amazing system, this amazing process that doesn't, if I was to get, touch wood, knocked down by a bus tomorrow, it would still run and it would still get the success. It's not R independent, it's system dependent. And by removing the variables and by operationalizing everything, then it removes that kind of less consistency. Just like McDonald's, it makes it more consistent, where 9 times out of 10 you're going to get that burger spot on, you're going to get that flat white, or you're going to get the chips on point because they're cooked to a certain percentage, they're flipped over a certain time, and that's kind of what we're trying to do, I guess.
It's a great example, and I love finding examples of like things in business from other completely random industries because you can just take the same principles, right? But I mean, it's a great example because even with McDonald's, they're hiring like 14-year-old kids, right? And that just shows how systemized they are. And also, like, you go to any other country and it's the same exact experience, right? That's I think the wild thing about it. They really just have that exact playbook. But yeah, that's awesome. And I think there's as you're explaining it, there's definitely a lot of agency owners listening or just business owners in general. We get some other B2B guys listening too that are definitely feeling that pain point. A lot of people, they just take on a lot of agency owners when they just start the business, they take on whoever, which is good to a degree at the start, right? Because you need to kind of see like what you're good at, right, and what you like, what you gravitate towards. And I know that's how you started as well. But some people just stay stuck there, and then they become a full service agency serving everything to everyone, and then it's impossible to get out. And we've had a lot of podcast episodes about operations. Our other co-host Jordan, he runs eight-figure agency and helps agencies with their operations. But none of the operational stuff really matters, like systems, SOPs, automation, hiring, delegation. None of that really matters, or not that it doesn't matter, but all of that is like secondary. The first part is the business model, right? Because if you have a crappy business model, all of the operational stuff you can do to improve it helps, but you're kind of working on like a bad foundation, right? So I think it's just a great lesson for a lot of people listening to this. Probably need to reinvent their business or know they should, but it's hard, right? It's hard to figure out, like, because like you said earlier, it's saying no, right? It's not always easy, is it, to actually like say no to and turn down clients, turn down people who want to give you money, right?
Yeah, and as Alex Hormozy puts it a lot in his podcasts, he speaks to guys that are maybe running 2 businesses, 3 businesses, and it's like, hey, you can't scale these businesses, and he's like, sure, why? Because you're not. You need to leave money on the table. You need to look at a specific client, even if they're going to offer you 10 grand a month. Well, is this short term may be great, but is this the best way to move my service, my agency forward? And kind of, we're implementing a rule now with clients is that no client should be over 10% of the revenue made. Because before, when I first started, it was a kind of like consultancy fractional role I took, and like maybe you had 5 clients and you were kind of like a high ticket operator. The issue is, if you lose one client, you might be paying for a car, you might be paying for a mortgage, you might be paying for all this system in behind. If you've just lost 30, maybe 20% of your revenue overnight. Or if you do, then it's a nightmare. So if you have 20 that are all on like the kind of same kind of segmented kind of revenue streams, then it means that if you lose one, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. And because they're all under like the same bracket, because we're all under the same kind of types of companies, it means that we can also say, well, to one client, like, we might try something new with them in a specific niche, And if that works there, then we could transfer that success over to someone else.
For sure, yeah.
Might not be getting results over time. The only rule that we have is that we don't want to have too many clients going for the same audience.
Of course, yeah.
Like almost compete against ourselves. But that's kind of the way we think about it. It's almost like the more clients we have, the more everyone can win as well, because the more we can test and find out new stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And then if you're innovating in a new approach for one of your clients, and let's say that client leaves, well, what you learn can still work for all of your other clients. So, no, I love it. I think so many things get easier in the business the more focused you are. The hard part is just making that decision and knowing where to focus in the first place. But yeah, the hard part is just starting. But once you're actually there, sales gets easier, marketing gets easier, fulfillment gets easier, hiring gets easier. And like you said, if you do lose a client, right, it's easier to replace them because the positioning is it makes a huge difference, right? Like it's the same for me. I mean, whenever I'm looking to hire an agency, or anyone to work my business, I'm always wondering, like, who have you helped that's just like me, right? And it's hard to compete if you've had 30 clients that are just like them. It's hard for them to go with anyone else at that point, right?
And in terms of our SEO clients, we've had like a 100% success rate, hands down. So it's the only thing is what we learned at the start was that we need to be picky with the types of clients we work with.
Yeah.
Where we shelled in like 60 leads over maybe 3 weeks. We weren't closing, we weren't getting them closed. But that actually wasn't like on our side, like it wasn't wrong on our side. It was more just down to this specific client at the time didn't have like lots of testimonials in the niche we were going for. They didn't have social, which made that a bit harder. So that's where we kind of now niche down a little bit and think, right, okay, we're doing SEO or link building. Plus, we need to make sure that the client maybe has a sales team. We've had one client where we actually lost this client, where we drove like 100 leads in like, I think it was like 6 days. This was like the other week. And we just maxed out the pipeline pretty quickly. And also because that client didn't have like a fully established, it was very founder led in terms of sales. They were like, hey, like we're fully booked for the next 3 quarters. So it's just like, I guess a good problem to have, but it's thinking about these things, like we want to have sales teams that will absorb sales and like absorb leads, and we can keep pushing them there. So that's more of like the filtering that we do, and again, we're leaving more money on the table, but it's for the longevity of what we're trying to do to get the best results for the right people.
Yeah, for sure. And to have a business that's just very turnkey, right? No, I think a lot of the marketing agencies have had that happen at some point too. It's happened to me. We had a client where we got them like 40 meetings in the first month, and they were like, hey, we didn't expect this, and we couldn't handle it, and we need a month to catch up. And then of course 1 month turned into 2 months, turned into 3 months, and then later their business ended up getting bought out or something, right? So yeah, it happens, but part of the game. But all these things, it helps you kind of learn, like, okay, now I'm clear on my ICP, right, on that ideal client.
I think in terms of our strategy as well, like I know I really admire Code IQ's strategy. I don't know if you've seen like some of the stuff Michael's been posting on his LinkedIn, just like breaking down all the steps that they have. Like, it's really smart. Our strategy's like kind of boring, but it works. We just get like all SEO agencies out there. We just do, I guess, a level of qualification. So we just map out the whole TAM, some levels of qualification, and then we just reach out to everyone saying, hey, can we just give you like 3, 5, maybe 10 meetings this week with ICP? Would that be useful? It's like it's the most stupid offer. It's like an offer you can't refuse. But
yeah, for sure.
And we've got pre-warned domains that are just sitting there, just kind of chilling on holiday, ready to get to action. And we just literally plug in all our playbooks. We've taken our ICP. We reach out to maybe 800 leads and then bring them back, and then just say, there you go. And they're like, wow. Can we do more of this? And now we're on paper performance. So like, yeah, sure. And it makes it kind of low risk. It gives us a bit of skin in the game to say, you don't perform, you don't pay. And it really helps. So that's kind of our strategy. And I don't think we really need to change that from there. It's just kind of thinking about, well, when we do this though, we need to make sure that we have capacity. And sometimes when people reply, it's like, you just need to map out from there, because when you send out these emails, obviously you're going to get like 10, 20 maybe responses per day, because it's a really good offer.
Yeah.
And it works nicely for us. So we're just slowly I'm just getting back to these emails today that I've had back, and we're slowly just trying to scale this up. They're really matter, but again, back to it, the clients matter first, and we're making some internal changes, and we're a very client first kind of agency where we just always put them first and sales comes last. Or that's what it should be done.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, no, that's a killer offer, and you wouldn't be able to offer that if you weren't so niched, right? Like because you know exactly the type of results you can get and how quickly you can get results, you're able to have that really high value, attractive free offer and just deliver it pretty quick without too much effort, right? Because if you had to take a client in a completely new niche, you'd have to onboard them, research them, learn about them, test and all that. So yeah, I love that, man. Well, I wanted to touch on that just niche strategy first, because I think it's really valuable to just a lot of agencies I speak to, but let's get into some of the cold email stuff. So for an average client, like what's an example of maybe like a range of meetings you're booking for a typical SEO or link building client? And then, I'd love to get into like just kind of your overall strategy, like the approach you take that's able to book so many meetings.
Yeah, so I guess the approach we take is that we tell our clients this: never sell. Just don't ever sell an email. The way we try to do it is, if you imagine like you're at a bookstore and then you look at all the covers, we try and be that shiny cover that piques curiosity, that
right
forward to say, yeah, count me in. So what we would usually do is we might analyze something about the company, or it might be like a set of lists. Like every prospect gets like custom kind of lead magnets sent, and based on the capacity of the client, we might kind of offer more from there, like an analysis of this or something of this, or like a list built from this, like link building, like here's a list of X or something like that, that we know that fits well. And we might use some triggers as well, whether that be like their website might be really slow, or it might be that they're not ranking in specific keywords. Like there's all these different triggers that we'll use where it's like, okay, like they obviously like have not optimized, like we should come in with an offer that they can't refuse. So all we really do is send these offers at scale. Sometimes even just doing it to the TAM, and it still works. Like you still get like positive response every 80, 90 emails, sometimes 20 if it's like a really sniper campaign. We started to do that. We were initially saying like, hey, can I send like a Loom video of this, or can I send you this over?
Right.
Realized with clients that we were getting maybe 10, 15 leads a day for clients, and they said, hey, like it's actually getting pretty hard to like record these videos and send them over.
Right.
And I thought, why don't we just get less leads and just meet wallet? So what we then moved to doing is make this great offer, but make the offer so that you have to be on call to get that offer. And that they come into call, like when you ever get sold in cold email, unless it's Forbes asking you to come for an interview,
for sure,
you're not going to reply unless it's an amazing offer. So you come into the meeting thinking, great, like I'm going to get value here. You show them this, or you show them this really valuable thing, and then most likely they say, hey, like we don't have time to implement this. This looks amazing, and you're looking for them to say, could we hire you guys to do it? Like that makes sense, because the way the buyer operates now is that they don't. I did a post yesterday saying sales-led sales is dead, because the buyer, like we don't need to tell the buyer like, do you want to buy? Because the buyer knows that's an option and they know how they work. They're just looking for value. They want to have value up front. They want to, I guess, see some proof. So you've got case studies, kind of testimonials. But if you can just say like, this is like the eureka moment of our service. So for us outbound guys, it's when you get a meeting or when you close that big deal. Like, how can we bring that eureka moment to the top of the funnel? Obviously for us, it's just like we give you meetings like that.
Yeah, for your own offer, yeah.
Rather than say, well, we've done this for these people, it's just like, we'll just do it for you and just show you this works. So that's like the eureka moment. So what we try and get clients to do is on these calls is just make it as high value as you can without breaking your neck. And the higher the value it's going to be, the more likely you're going to close them, because people just want to trust you. People buy from people. Before anyone like purchases something, like they look at reviews, they look at maybe LinkedIn, they might be hit with 5 bits of value before they sign up for this course or something. It's just like, it's even like Instagram, Facebook, if you look at it, like for every 4 posts there's an ad. It's like value, buy something targeted, value. It's like jab, hook, and that's how people buy. So we are trying to stint that sales cycle, because we don't want to nurture people for the whole time. So we're trying to like combine or like just concentrate that value into one meeting to then turn that into a sale, or get the buyer to step forward and say, hey, or sometimes we email them with value and they just say, sod your value, we want to just talk about sales, we trust you, you've not tried to sell. Or sometimes you say, this is an amazing email, you should be an outbound agency. We've had that before. And then
that's funny, that's good.
But that's basically like the strategy and the ethos we have behind it, and the clients that really embody it do great. And then at the time, like at the start, some clients are like, hey, like we're not sure, or this is different, or like it's, or even with follow-ups, I tell clients to say, like, rather than following up with like, hey, did you get that proposal? Like, they got their proposal. Like, they're not silly. Like,
yeah, of course, you put it to their email, it's there, right? Yeah.
yeah, they know it's there. But if you just followed up with like, I just did this thing, or I did this thing for you, depending on how big the lead is, then prospects will say, oh, you keep getting value. Like, suddenly they're not a want, they're a need. And that's basically what we're trying to shift with prospects, because they're so savvy with sales talk. There's no point in trying to sell to them. And if you sell for value, sell for demonstration, you're going to beat the competition 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's really the core of your strategy, is when you're taking on a new client, making their cold email campaigns for them, or running your own, you're thinking first about what is the best lead magnet I can give, something customized as well, right?
Even before that, I'm thinking, like, if I'm a lawyer, let's say I'm a criminal defense lawyer in New York, and let's say, like, in terms of clients, it's like, well, what is my social currency? What's the thing that lights me up? What do I want? More cases, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what's the thing that's stopping me from getting there? Well, these guys over here, like, they know how to get found in Google, or we don't have a website or something like that. And it's like, okay, right, so this is your biggest blocker. What's the best thing we could ever possibly do to solve that problem? Maybe, like, dedicate our full team to solve your SEO problems, like, all the time. And then it's like, well, we can't do that. So it's like, well, how can we take this offer here, bring down the resource, bring down the cost, bring down the time volume, but still maintain or try and be around this value area here. And that's what we try and help clients do. And again, this is just Hormozy offer creation.
Yeah. The value equation, yeah, it's classic. It stands the test of time for sure. It works in every scenario. So basically, yeah. So if someone's listening and they're doing some cold outreach, or they want to start doing some, or even if they're doing some other marketing like ads or whatever, your recommendation would be first start with just what value can I give based on what is the ultimate problem they want to solve, and just think what is the best thing I can give them, and kind of work backwards from there based on what you're willing to deliver, right?
Yeah, and I think in terms of that as well, what we find is that prospects join meetings. So if you were to cold email someone with a sales led email and they say, yeah, why not? Then they might not even turn up to that, because like, we don't know these people, we owe nothing to them. They talk like little thing, like, unless we've found them at an amazing time, then it's not like a big thing. So we found that at the start, before we had this method in, that even for clients getting meetings, there was like loads of no-shows. But if you're coming in with that psychology of thinking someone has this massive problem, you're coming to solve it for free. This is something they would be maybe paying for initially, like this is something that they should be paying for, but we're giving it for free. It's like, you'd be stupid not to turn up to the call. That's the way we think about it. So we get more like people that show, we give them a ton of value, they get loads of success. So it's like SEO, if you think about that, it takes so long to get success in SEO. So it's like, rather than trying to show them even a thing, it's like you could even do stuff, say like this and this isn't set up correctly, like we could fix that like that, and it would spike something, like something would happen, and like, oh, they light up and think this is great. So thinking that way, it's like, how can you bring that eureka moment to here, but for their like social currency, like for the thing that they really want.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's awesome. And any tips on any other tips you would say on just how to kind of find what that eureka moment or lead magnet would be? So for example, when I think of, at least in your niche, when I think of SEO agencies that have prospected me, one that was really good before was they offered me a free backlink, and I ended up going ahead with them because I already, at least in my case, I already knew the value of a good backlink, right? But then most of the other ones I get whenever I do get something that's they're offering value is usually just an SEO audit, which I'm not opposed to, but like I get those all the time, right? So I think there's probably a lot of people listening that do have some kind of lead magnet, but maybe it's just not something that really stands out. So yeah, what tips would you have around like finding that eureka moment?
So what I would say is, like, and this applies to like any B2B service or tech product. I don't know how you do it with like a showroom that sells cars.
Right.
Here's the car for free for like 2 weeks. But what I would do is, like, I would map out your TAM, take a segment of your TAM and just run offer tests. Like, just do that process with your client. Just say like, let's look at the pipeline. Who are your biggest customers? What problem are you solving for them? Build that understanding. Who are like your dream clients? Why are they your dream clients? Try and build that analysis to say, right, okay, well, I've got 5 hypotheses. So like, approach it like a thesis in university or college. Like, I want to prove that one of these is right. Hit your TAM. So like, remove the variables, remove triggers, just hit your TAM with like no triggers at all. and just see what lands most. Okay, great, we've got this offer that lands the best, that's got this amount of scalability. Let's now add triggers to that say, well, see people that are undergoing this, or they're maybe hiring for this, or their page speed's maybe slow, I don't know. Like there's all these different things, like let's now find the ultimate trigger. So then you maybe run like a TAM one, but then you would run like maybe a multi-threaded trigger-based approach as well. That'd probably be the best way to do it. That's what I would say. So just isolating variables, trying to run clear tests, just like you would with anything.
Yeah, for sure. That was one of the next thing I was going to ask anyway, was how do you approach testing? Because I always love talking to other cold email experts and seeing they usually have a different way of approaching testing than I do. What I'm hearing is in your case, when you're launching a new campaign, you're just trying to test the offer first. You're not doing any like advanced targeting things or triggers yet. You're just using, I'm assuming, like pretty simple copy, and then just trying to test what is the offer what is that free value that they're going to be hooked by. Is that right?
So what we do just now is that we've got, like, if it's SaaS or if it's areas, like, we don't need to test. We can just turn it on day one and it works.
If it's SaaS or if it's what? Say it again.
If it's like SaaS, or like if we're speaking to people that are already in SEO, then fine. Like we can just turn on the campaigns and they'll work. Like,
yeah, because you know that because you have so many clients in that exact space, right? Yeah.
Or maybe if like there could be deliverability issues that might do stuff, but we've just got pre-warned domains and we've got backup ones and backups of backups.
Yeah.
Just in case. But yeah, so we can just turn them on and just say, go. Cool. For the ones that are in interesting niches, like we've had one in roofing, for example, that's a bit different because like roofers might not understand SEO. Like, I mean, like I don't understand stuff about roofing, so
yeah, right.
I understand like all this stuff. So sometimes we have like our kind of more simple version of our playbooks, and we have like the more complex ones. Because sometimes it's better to speak in complex language because it resonates with specific people.
Yeah.
So maybe founders or like a niche we're not sure about, then we'll just try the simple one. Yeah, and just make it more high level, so more about Google per se. Because the whole goal of SEO fundamentally is just to say, if I look up red trainers, then I want my red trainers to be at the top. That's the goal of SEO fundamentally. So that's kind of what we focus on, is making it more simple. And we would just create like a mega campaign with like tons of variants of loads of different things, see what lands, see what doesn't. Either stick with the ones that land, or sometimes if we're going mid-market, we have this little technique to now inbox with like Barracuda, Mindcast, Proofpoint, Mail in Black, Outlook. So we've actually had an issue recently where we can't inbox with Google, but we can inbox with Outlook, which is like everyone's opposite issue. But we do a thing where we do heavy spin tags, heavy personalization, but we also spin the sentiment of the email. So rather than saying like, hey, hello, introduction, kind of we are this, or whatever that line is, case study, call to action, we would then put maybe like the call to action at the top and make it work, and just move around the sentiment, because we've realised that these kind of algorithms that look out for spam are now optimising to say, well, we know about spin tags, we know about AI personalisation,
right?
Things work, we know that's possible. We even know about MX matching, we know all these things, because Outlook arguably could say, well, hey, like, weirdly, like this email, like only ever emails to Outlooks, like that human's never doing that. So
yeah, they're all catching on. Yeah, all these email providers for sure. Yeah, they'll keep staying one step ahead.
Yeah. So what we thought, well, for a human, like to be human, then we're going to spin like the actual way the email's set up and have loads of variants. So then, since we did that, we're now inboxing like tons of times with Outlook, Mimecast, like the deliverability for that shot right up. We actually get a lot more positive responses because nobody's emailing Outlook right now, which is look at blue ocean right now. I've actually posted on LinkedIn today about that approach because a lot of people told me I was wrong 2 months ago. It was fairy, but I believe I've now validated said fairy, or you never know. It's whatever flows your boat, but I just find that nobody really understands deliverability to the fullest, probably not even the engineers that build it, because it changes all the time. So it's basically your intuition and trying stuff, always be testing, and that works for us. And whenever something works for us, we try and share it, hopefully help others.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a moving target, right? You know, all this email deliverability stuff, it changes every few months, so it's always good to keep testing. So basically, you're creating a lot of variants to for the sake of improving deliverability. But in terms of the actual copy itself, you're not doing a lot of copy testing, more just testing an offer. Or are you taking are you working with the client on like, hey, what's the best offer we can give, and then you're just trying that, and then maybe having like some copy testing?
Well, because the whole idea of Serpire is that like we already know the best offers to give. So
right.
in offers we know that crush it on email. Dependent on the niche, we maybe edit the way that's given, but the offers are the same. And with clients, we're SOPing, like, here's how to best deliver those offers. If they're not closing the deals for whatever reason, let's jump in a sales workshop, let's work through this. And we've done that with clients to make sure that they get there as well, and just try and help them through that. So that's kind of what I do, is like, usually what we find is that we start crushing their top of funnel. And sometimes they're like, hey, like, this is amazing, but we're not closing deals. And then we go into their sales team, have a look, and it turns out that this whole value approach, but then their sales team approach it maybe as like a discovery call. So then we just kind of sell that methodology internally, and then once we change that, then we get the deals flowing through. Because for salespeople, it's like, I'm a salesperson and you're asking me not to sell. Like, what the hell? So it's, so once we do that, then it's really bought in. But again, everyone's got different approaches, and that seems to work for us and our clients, or hopefully our clients really like it. We try our best to keep on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. We're getting 10 meetings in the first week for a brand new client. Like, that's just the first week of a campaign. That's pretty insane, right? Especially doing that predictably. And before even like ramping it up. So yeah, I love it, man. It's great to hear, and I love the approach of give free value. I mean, when I look at most of the cold emails I receive, or LinkedIn DMs or whatever, very, very rarely is someone offering me some free value. It's usually very sales oriented. And if it is free value, usually it's like similar. Like once in a while I get something where I'm like actually impressed and excited by. But yeah, this approach totally stands out. So I love it.
And also, it's like, when you test these out in email, like, you can then use that for LinkedIn as well, to say, like, you might have like lead magnets that you push out. You could just test that audiences and then use that for LinkedIn. Like, cold email is like a great way to test things rapidly. Like, if you want, you can email 2,000 people in like an hour, and then just see what lands, see what doesn't, and then you can then say, okay, right, we're going to do that for LinkedIn or something. I'm surprised not. There should be more companies just testing stuff on cold email.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a great testing tool, great market research tool. And if you're running ads, if you're running Facebook ads or something else, like, test your offer on cold email first. It's just a cheap way to figure out what's going to work before you put budget behind it. But yeah, man, it's great. We definitely got to have you back sometime and chop it up more. But where can people find you, or if they want to connect with you or work with you?
So you obviously can find me on my LinkedIn. Just drop me a note there, or just go to serpar.ai, and then I believe we're just about to publicly open up people that want the trial. So on email, we've got our own setup, but we also have our own kind of public trials, where basically for the first month, we just have a maintenance fee, like for our pay per lead, and then we just allow people to do like 30 days of just free leads. And then after those leads, you then say, right, okay, we're going to set an outbound budget of where we want to be. Once you set that budget, it's like, cool, great. And then we start running it from there. So we even have like a kind of free funnel on our website, just to make things easy. And we also have like a qualifier kind of form to make sure, like, if we're going to work together, like, we're definitely a fit for you, and we're not going to waste your time. Right,
of course. Yeah, sweet. Well, we'll link your site and then your LinkedIn below for people who want to follow your content. But no, I love it, man, and looking forward to having you back sometime.
Perfect, man. Really appreciate it.
All right, cheers.